And Jiwoo kept her eyes on the floor as she walked through the busy halls of the Galactic Academy. All around her, students from 100 different planets moved with confidence. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms, a few even floated instead of walked. But Jiwoo was none of these things. She was human, just a human from Earth. "Move aside, soft skin," a deep voice growled. Jiwoo stepped quickly to the wall as a tall Torian student pushed past her. Park Kyung-no, the school's top athlete, didn't even look back. His tough gray hide shimmered under the lights. His friends laughed as they followed him. "Sorry about my brother," a gentle voice said beside her. "Juno can be a real pain." Kang Dami, Jiwoo's roommate, gave her a kind smile. Unlike her brother, Dami was always nice to Jiwoo. Both were Torians, but Dami didn't look down on humans. "It's fine," Jiwoo said so quietly that Dami had to lean closer to hear. "We're going to be late for combat class," Dami said. "Come on." Jiwoo's stomach tightened. Combat class was the worst. 3 times a week, all first-year students had to train in the big gym. It was there that the differences between humans and other species became most clear. The gym was a huge room with high ceilings and soft mats covering the floor. Instructor Lee Sun-ho stood in the center, his 4 eyes scanning the students as they entered. He was Quadrian, known for their perfect balance and strict teaching style. "Find your partners from last week," Instructor Sun-ho called out. Jiwoo's partner was Lox, a rock-skinned Granitian who stood 2 heads taller than her. He smiled down at her, showing teeth like small white stones. "Ready for another easy win, human?" he asked. Jiwoo said nothing. She took her place across from him on the mat. "Today we practice defense against a charging opponent," Instructor Sun-ho explained. "Defenders, remember to use your opponent's weight against them." Lox laughed. "My weight would crush you, human. I'll go easy again." The class began. Around the room, students practiced throws and blocks. Some moved with amazing speed. Others showed incredible strength. Instructor Sun-ho walked between the pairs, giving advice and making corrections. When he reached Jiwoo and Lox, he sighed. "Jiwoo, you must try harder. Your technique is too soft." "Yes, instructor," she whispered. "Maybe humans just aren't built for real combat," Junho called from across the room. His friends laughed. Jiwoo's face turned red. She kept her eyes down. "That's enough, Junho," Instructor Sun-ho said sharply. "Continue practicing." As Lox charged at her again, Jiwoo stepped aside at the last moment. It looked like she was being clumsy, but those with trained eyes might have noticed something strange. Her movements, while appearing awkward, somehow always kept her just out of real danger. When class ended, Jiwoo was the first to leave. She walked quickly to her room, wanting to be alone. The dorm room was small but comfortable. Jiwoo's side was neat and simple. Dami's side was covered with colorful pictures and plants from her home world. Jiwoo sat on her bed and pulled out a small metal pendant from under her shirt. It showed the symbol of Earth's Special Tactical Division, her parents' unit. She rubbed it with her thumb, a habit when she felt alone. Her computer screen lit up with an incoming call. Her mother's face appeared, strong and serious in her military uniform. "How was your day, little tiger?" her mother asked. "Fine," Jiwoo said softly. "Any problems with the training exercises?" "No. I'm being careful. No one suspects anything." Her mother nodded with approval. "Remember your mission. The Academy needs to see humans as weak until the right moment. Your father and I are counting on you." "I know, Mom. I won't let you down." After the call ended, Jiwoo stood up and moved to the small clear space in the center of the room. She closed her eyes. Then, with the door locked and the windows covered, she began to move. Her movements were nothing like the clumsy steps from class. Now she flowed like water, her strikes precise and powerful. She practiced forms that no one at the Academy had ever seen, combat techniques developed specifically for humans to defeat larger, stronger opponents. The shy girl that everyone laughed at disappeared. In her place stood the highly trained warrior, preparing for a moment no one would see coming. The morning alarm beeped loudly. Ju opened her eyes right away but stayed still in bed. Across the room, Damie groaned and pulled her blanket over her head. 5 more minutes, Damie mumbled. Ju got up quietly. She had already been awake for an hour, doing silent breathing exercises under her covers. No one at the academy knew she woke before dawn every day to maintain her secret training routine. "We have combat assessment today," Ju reminded her roommate softly. Damie sat up quickly, her gray skin looking paler than usual. "I forgot. Instructor Sunho said he's bringing in judges from the military council." Combat assessment day came once every month. Students had to show their progress in front of important visitors. For most alien students, it was a chance to impress. For Ju, it was just another day of pretending to be less than she was. The dining hall buzzed with excited talk when they arrived. Students from all species sat at long tables, eating foods from their home planets. Ju picked up a tray of simple Earth foods, rice, vegetables, and protein cubes. "Mind if I join you?" a quiet voice asked. Kim Ji-hoon, another human student, stood beside her table. He was tall for a human, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. He worked part-time in the academy's medical bay. "Sure," Ju said. "Are you ready for assessment?" Ji-hoon asked as he sat down. Before Ju could answer, a shadow fell across their table. Park Junho stood there with 3 of his friends. "Look at this," Junho said loudly. "The 2 weakest humans at the academy sitting together. Maybe you should ask for special treatment today. Tell Instructor Sunho that your bones might break." His friends laughed. Other students turned to watch. "Leave them alone, Junho," Damie said, approaching with her breakfast. Junho snorted. "Just having fun, sister. Besides, everyone knows humans don't belong in combat training. They should stick to Earth history or art classes." Ju kept her eyes on her food. Her hands stayed relaxed around her cup, but inside she felt a familiar heat building. She could identify 7 ways to take Junho down before he could even move. Her training had covered Torian weak points in detail. "Maybe you should try Earth history," Ji-hoon said suddenly. "You might learn something about human resilience." Junho's yellow eyes narrowed. "Watch yourself, medical boy. See you all at assessment." He walked away, his heavy footsteps echoing in the hall. "Sorry about that," Damie said, sitting down. Assessment day always makes him more competitive than usual. The combat gym was arranged differently today. 3 military council members sat at a table on one side. They wore formal uniforms with medals and badges showing their rank. Instructor Sunho stood before them, explaining the day's activities. "Students will demonstrate defensive techniques in pairs," he announced. "Judges will score based on form, effectiveness, and species-appropriate adaptation." The students lined up along the wall. One by one, pairs went to the center to show their skills. The Centaurians moved with amazing speed. The 4-armed quali showed perfect balance. Everyone did their best to impress the judges. "Han Jiwoo and Lox," Instructor Sunho called. Jiwoo stepped forward. Lox grinned at her as they took their places. "Defense against multiple strikes," Instructor Sunho instructed. "Lox, attack. Jiwoo, defend only." Lox began throwing punches toward Jiwoo. He wasn't trying his hardest. Everyone could see that. Still, his stone fists moved quickly. Jiwoo moved backwards, appearing to barely avoid the hits. She stumbled once, making several students snicker. What no one noticed was how she controlled every movement, carefully appearing less skilled than she was. One of the judges, an older Taurian with battle scars across his face, watched her with unusual interest. His eyes narrowed as Jiwoo accidentally used a defensive stance that was actually perfect form. "Enough," Instructor Sunho said. "Basic competence. Jiwoo, but you must improve your footwork. Lox, good control." As they walked back to the line, Junho stuck out his foot. Juwoo pretended not to notice it in time and tripped, falling forward onto her hands and knees. The room filled with laughter. "Such clumsy creatures," someone said loudly. Juwoo got up slowly, her face red with what everyone thought was embarrassment. Only she knew it was something else entirely. The heat inside her was growing stronger. It was getting harder to keep her true self hidden. Later, back in their room, Damie tried to comfort her. "Don't let them get to you," she said. "Junho and his friends are just bullies." Juwoo nodded but said nothing. She sat on her bed, looking at her hands, hands that could do so much more than anyone suspected. Her computer beeped with an incoming message. It was from her father this time. The message was simple. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2 tomorrow. Juwoo closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Soon, everyone would see what humans were really capable of. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Academy sparkled with lights. Tonight was the diplomatic reception, an important event where students represented their home planets to visitors from across the galaxy. Everyone wore their best clothes and practiced their best manners. Juwoo stood by the Earth display table. She wore a simple but elegant blue dress that her mother had sent. Next to her, Juhoon arranged small items from Earth, a tiny model of the Great Wall, pictures of oceans, and samples of Earth music. "Your turn is in 15 minutes, Jihoon reminded her. "Are you ready?" Juwoo nodded. Each planet's students had to perform something from their culture. She had practiced for weeks. "I didn't know you played music," said Damie, appearing beside them in formal Taurian robes of deep red. "Just a little," Juwoo said softly. Important visitors moved around the hall. Some were military leaders, others were government officials. All had come to see the future representatives of their worlds. The academy trained not just fighters, but diplomats too. The performances began. A group of Centaurians danced with incredible speed. 3 floating Ori sang in perfect harmony. When Earth's turn came, Juwoo walked to the center of the hall. She sat down with a small stringed instrument called a gaegeum. The room grew quiet. Juwoo closed her eyes and began to play. Her fingers moved across the strings with perfect control. The music filled the hall, sometimes sad, sometimes hopeful, always beautiful. When she finished, there was a moment of silence before people applauded. Juwoo returned to the Earth table with her eyes down, not looking at anyone. "That was amazing," Damie said, her eyes wide. "Indeed, quite nice for a primitive instrument," said a deep voice. Junho had appeared with his usual group of friends. He wore formal military-cated clothes that showed his status as top combat student. "The human played well," one of the visiting Taurian officials said, "for someone with such limited physical abilities." Junho smiled. "Yes, humans are good with small, delicate things. Music, art, simple crafts. Not like real combat or space exploration." The official nodded. Earth was the last planet invited to join the Galactic Alliance. They have much to learn. Juwoo kept arranging items on the table, pretending not to hear, but her hands moved with more force than necessary. "Actually," Damie said suddenly, "humans have unique abilities. They're more adaptable than any other species." Junho laughed. "Adaptable at running away, maybe." "That's not fair," Jihoon joined in. "Humans have survived challenges that would destroy other species. Is that so?" Junho crossed his arms. "Then why does your friend here always fail in combat class? Why does she never fight back?" "Maybe she doesn't need to prove herself to you," Damie said. The visiting official watched with interest. Other students gathered around, sensing an argument. "I have an idea," Junho said loudly. "The interspecies combat tournament is next week. If humans are so special, why don't you enter, Damie? Show everyone how wrong I am." Damie's gray skin paled. She was not a fighter. Unless you know I'm right," Junho pressed. "Unless you admit humans are the weakest species in the Alliance." Something changed in the air. Juwoo stopped moving, her fingers tight around a small Earth statue. "I'll do it," Damie said suddenly. I'll enter the tournament. Gasps and whispers spread through the crowd. Taurians never backed down from challenges, but everyone knew Damie had no fighting skills. Excellent. Juno grinned. I look forward to watching. Maybe your human friends can teach you how to lose gracefully. He walked away laughing with his friends and the official. What did I just do? Damie whispered, looking scared. Why would you do that? Jihoon asked. The tournament it is for experienced fighters. He was insulting Earth, Damie said. I couldn't let him talk that way. Jiwoo stayed silent, but something had changed in her eyes. The quiet acceptance was gone. In its place was a cold, focused look that neither of her friends had seen before. Phase 2, she whispered to herself. What? Damie asked. Nothing, Jiwoo said. Then she looked up at Damie with new determination. I can help you train. You? Jihoon couldn't hide his surprise. Yes, Jiwoo said. Her voice sounded different, stronger, more confident. Meet me in our room after the reception. We start tonight. As the reception continued around them, Jiwoo's mind was already planning. The tournament would change everything. Her mission was moving forward faster than expected, but maybe that was for the best. The shy girl was reaching her breaking point. I can't do this, Damie said as she fell to the floor for the 5th time. She was breathing hard, and sweat made her gray skin shine in the dim light of their dorm room. Yes, you can, Jiwoo said. Try again. It was past midnight. They had pushed the beds against the walls to create a small practice space. Jiwoo had hung blankets over the windows so no one could see inside. How do you know all these moves? Damie asked as she got back up. You always seem so. She didn't finish the sentence. Weak, Jiwoo offered with a small smile. That's what everyone thinks. For 3 nights now, they had trained in secret. Jiwoo was a different person during these sessions. She stood straighter. She spoke with confidence. Her movements were precise and powerful. Let's work on defense against a Centaurian, Jiwoo said. They're fast, but they have a weakness in their balance. She showed Damie how to shift her weight to one side, making the Centaurian overextend their reach. Then how to use their own speed against them with a simple redirection. Like this. Damie tried the move. Close. Your right foot needs to be here. Jiwoo adjusted Damie's stance with expert hands. A soft knock on the door made them both freeze. It's me, whispered a voice. Jihoon. Damie opened the door just enough for Jihoon to slip inside. He carried a small medical bag. I brought pain relief patches, he said. I thought you might need them. How did you know we were training? Jiwoo asked, suddenly cautious. Jihoon looked embarrassed. I saw you both skipping dinner. And Damie was moving carefully today, like she was sore. Thank you, Damie said, taking the patches gratefully. Jihoon watched as Jiwoo demonstrated another move. His eyes widened. That's a military-grade combat technique, he said. Where did you learn that? Jiwoo stopped. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she sighed. Sit down, she told them both. There are some things I should explain. They sat on Damie's bed. Jiwoo remained standing. My parents are not ordinary diplomats, she began. They are high-ranking officers in Earth's Special Tactical Division. I've been training since I could walk. But why hide it? Damie asked. Earth joined the Galactic Alliance only 5 years ago, Jiwoo explained. Many species think humans are too weak to contribute anything valuable. My parents were sent to change that view, but through official channels. And you? Jihoon asked. I was sent to observe and report, to learn about other species without revealing human military capabilities. But things are changing. She walked to her desk and showed them a message on her computer. It was from Earth Command. Our intelligence suggests growing threats to the Alliance. Jiwoo read. Certain elements do not want Earth to gain influence. Proceed with Phase 2. Limited demonstration of capabilities. You're a spy. Damie sounded shocked. Not exactly, Ju said. I'm a student, like I said, but I'm also a soldier. So all this time, when everyone was laughing at you, Ji-hoon began. I was following orders. Ju finished. But now I have new orders. And I want to help you, Damie. You stood up for Earth. For me. Damie looked troubled. Is our friendship part of your mission too? Ju-woo's face softened. No, that was never planned. You were kind to me when no one else was. So what now? Ji-hoon asked. Now we train. The tournament starts in 4 days. Ji-hoon stood up. I want to help. I know alien physiology better than anyone. Their weak points, pressure spots. You would do that? Ju asked. Of course. We humans need to stick together. He smiled. Plus, I'm tired of Chunho's attitude. Okay. Ju nodded. But this stays between us. No one can know what I'm really capable of. Not yet. What about the tournament? Damie asked. Chunho expects me to fight. You will, Ju said. But you'll be better prepared than he thinks. They trained for another hour. Ju showed them techniques that were specially designed for smaller opponents against larger ones. She explained how each alien species had physical advantages, but also weaknesses. Taurians are strong but slow to turn, she explained. Centaurians are fast, but can't handle sudden direction changes. Quali have 4 arms but poor lower body strength. As the night went on, Damie improved more than she thought possible. Ji-hoon took notes on everything. This is just the beginning, Ju told them as they finally prepared for bed. Tomorrow night will be harder. As Damie fell asleep, Ju stayed awake, looking out at the stars. The tournament would change everything. Her shy persona was becoming harder to maintain. Part of her couldn't wait to show everyone what humans could really do. But another part worried about what would happen after. Once the truth was revealed, there would be no going back. The Academy's combat arena was massive. Curved rows of seats surrounded a large central fighting area. Today, all those seats were full. Students, teachers, and visitors from across the galaxy had come to watch the interspecies combat tournament. Ju, Damie, and Ji-hoon stood in the waiting area with other competitors. Damie wore the simple training clothes Ju had helped her modify. They had added padding in key places, while keeping the outfit light for better movement. I think I'm going to be sick, Damie whispered. Remember what we practiced, Ju said quietly. You don't need to win. Just show them what you've learned. Chunho walked past with his friends. He wore the official Taurian combat uniform with pride. Ready to embarrass yourself, sister? He asked Damie with a smirk. She'll do better than you think, Ji-hoon said. Chunho laughed. The medical student speaks up. Will you be ready to patch her up when she's done? Before anyone could answer, a loud announcement echoed through the arena. Welcome to the 43rd Annual Interspecies Combat Tournament. The crowd cheered. On a raised platform, Instructor Sunho stood with the Academy officials and special guests. Among them was the scared Taurian officer who had watched Ju during the assessment day. Today's matches will follow standard tournament rules, the announcer continued. Victory is achieved by submission, ring out, or referee decision. Intentional serious injury will result in immediate disqualification. The competitors were directed to their seats. Ju gave Damie's hand a quick squeeze before they separated. First match. Kang Damie of Taurus versus Zell of Centauri. Damie walked to the center of the arena. Across from her stood a tall Centaurian with blue-tinted skin and legs that looked built for speed. The crowd murmured in surprise at seeing a Taurian female who was clearly not a typical fighter. Begin, called the referee. Zell moved incredibly fast, dashing toward Damie with a blur of motion. Many in the crowd gasped, certain the match would end in seconds. But Damie was ready, just as Ju had taught her. She shifted her weight at the last moment and stepped to the side. Zell's momentum carried him past her. Damie turned quickly and used a simple blocking technique to deflect his next attack. In the competitor section, Junho's mouth fell open in surprise. Where did she learn that? He asked no one in particular. The match continued. Zell was clearly the stronger fighter, but Demi used everything Juwu had taught her. She moved with purpose. She protected her vulnerable areas. She even managed a few counter moves that scored points. In the end, Zell won by points, but the match had lasted a full 5 minutes. The crowd applauded as Demi bowed to her opponent and left the arena with her head high. That was incredible, Ji-hoon said when Demi returned to them, breathing hard but smiling. You did perfectly, Juwu told her. Across the waiting area, Shunho was watching them with narrowed eyes. He excused himself from his friends and walked over. Who trained you? He asked Demi directly. Does it matter? She replied. You've never shown those skills in class. Maybe you weren't paying attention, Ji-hoon suggested. Shunho ignored him, looking at Juwu instead. Was it you? Did you help her? Juwu kept her eyes down, playing her shy role. I just gave her some tips. Tips? Shunho laughed, but it sounded forced. Those were advanced defensive techniques. Before they could talk more, Shunho's name was called for his match. He gave them one last suspicious look before heading to the arena. Throughout the day, matches continued. Shunho easily won his first 2 rounds. Other species showed amazing abilities. Some could jump incredible heights, others had natural armor, and a few even had multiple limbs for complex attacks. Between matches, Juwu noticed the scared Torian officer watching her. He never approached, but his eyes followed her movements around the waiting area. Someone's paying attention to you, Ji-hoon whispered, noticing the same thing. General Kadu, Juwu said quietly. He's head of Torian military intelligence. Is that bad for your mission? Demi asked, careful not to speak too loudly. I'm not sure, Juwu admitted. As the day went on, Demi's muscles grew sore from her match. Ji-hoon applied medical patches to help with the pain. The 3 friends watched the remaining fights from the sidelines. During one particularly brutal match, a fighter was thrown hard against the arena wall. The crowd gasped. Medical staff rushed in. That could have been you, Junho said, suddenly appearing beside them again. He looked at Demi with what seemed like actual concern. But it wasn't, she replied. You did well today, sister, he admitted. But tomorrow the matches get harder. You should withdraw while you can still say you participated honorably. Thank you for your concern, Demi said coldly. As Junho walked away, Juwu felt something shift inside her. Seeing the increasing violence of the matches, hearing the dismissive tone in Junho's voice even when trying to be kind, it all pushed against her careful control. I can't just watch anymore, she whispered. What do you mean? Ji-hoon asked. Juwu stood up. I'll be back. She walked toward the tournament officials' table with determination in every step. What is she doing? Ji-hoon asked as he watched Juwu speaking with the tournament officials. Demi shook her head. I don't know. Across the arena, Juwu stood straight and tall as she talked to the head official. Gone was her usual hunched posture and downcast eyes. Even from a distance, her friends could see the change in her. The official looked surprised. He checked his computer screen, then nodded. Juwu signed something on a digital pad and walked back toward her friends. What happened? Demi asked when Juwu returned. I entered the tournament, Juwu said simply. You what? Ji-hoon's voice rose before he quickly lowered it again. But your mission. The secrecy. Plans change, Juwu said. I received new orders this morning. She showed them her computer pad. The message was short. Phase 3 authorized. Full demonstration permitted. What does that mean? Demi asked. It means I don't have to hide anymore. For the first time since they had known her, Juwu smiled fully. It transformed her face. The arena speakers crackled to life. Attention. Final entry for the tournament. Han Juwu of Earth. A wave of whispers spread through the crowd. In the competitors' area, heads turned. Juno, who was drinking water after his latest victory, almost choked. The quiet human girl. Someone said loudly, "Is this a joke?" Instructor Suno, seated with the judges, leaned forward with interest. Beside him, General Kadu nodded slightly, as if confirming something he had suspected. Updated match schedule. The announcer continued. First match tomorrow morning. Han Jiwoo versus Traz of Venus. Pictures of both competitors appeared on the large screens above the arena. Traz was a Venusian wrestler, known for their incredible strength and dense muscle structure. He was at least 3 times Jiwoo's size. Laughter erupted from several areas of the stands. Some students pointed at Jiwoo, making jokes to their friends. She'll be crushed in seconds. Does she have a death wish? Someone should stop this before she gets hurt. Junho pushed through the crowd of competitors until he reached Jiwoo. What are you doing? He demanded. Traz broke someone's arm last year. This isn't funny. I'm not trying to be funny. Jiwoo replied calmly. You've never shown any fighting skill, Junho said. You can barely defend yourself in training class. Maybe you haven't been paying attention, Jiwoo said, echoing Jihoon's earlier words. Confusion crossed Junho's face. Is this about what I said to Dami? Are you trying to prove something? This isn't about you, Jiwoo told him. Before Junho could respond, official announcements began for the end of the day's matches. All competitors were instructed to rest and prepare for tomorrow. As the arena began to empty, Jiwoo, Dami, and Jihoon walked back to their dorms together. Other students stared and whispered as they passed. Are you sure about this? Jihoon asked once they were alone in a quiet hallway. Once you show what you can do, everyone will know. That's the point, Jiwoo said. Earth Command believes it's time to change perceptions. Too many species still think humans are weak. It's becoming a security risk for the Alliance. And they chose you to change their minds. Dami sounded impressed. I'm one of several operatives, Jiwoo explained. Similar demonstrations are happening at other academies and diplomatic posts. When they reached Jiwoo and Dami's room, Jihoon said goodnight. Before he left, he handed Jiwoo a small medical device. Body scan, he explained. Standard for all competitors. But I added something special for you. What? Jiwoo asked, examining it. It will mask your true heart rate and adrenaline levels during the match, he said. Make you seem more normal, less trained. Jiwoo smiled. Thank you. After Jihoon left, Dami watched as Jiwoo prepared for bed with precise, disciplined movements. Nothing like her usual clumsy act. How does it feel? Dami asked. To stop pretending. Strange, Jiwoo admitted. I've been playing this role for so long. Are you nervous about tomorrow? No, Jiwoo said honestly. But I am concerned about what comes after. Once people see what humans can really do, things will change. For better or worse. Both, probably. That night, Jiwoo slept better than she had in months. No more hiding. No more pretending to be less than she was. Morning came quickly. The arena was even more crowded than the day before. Word had spread about the small human girl facing the Venusian champion. In the preparation room, Jiwoo wore the standard Earth combat uniform, simple black with blue trim. She stretched with perfect form, ignoring the stares of other competitors. Han Jiwoo, please report to the arena, called the announcer. As Jiwoo walked through the tunnel toward the bright lights of the arena, she heard the crowd's murmurs turn to laughter when they saw her. She kept her face calm, her eyes forward. In the center of the fighting area stood Traz, massive and imposing. His Venusian skin looked like stone, thick and gray. He smiled down at her with confidence. Begin when ready, the referee said, then quickly stepped back. Jiwoo closed her eyes. She took a deep breath, and then she waited, completely still in the center of the arena. The crowd grew quiet, wondering what she was doing. The shy girl was ready to show everyone what humans could really do. Traz moved first. The giant Venusian charged toward Jiwoo with surprising speed for his size. His massive arms spread wide, ready to grab and crush the small human girl. The crowd leaned forward. In the front row, Damie held her breath. Beside her, Jihoon gripped his seat tightly. Jiwoo remained perfectly still. She didn't look up. She didn't move at all. Just as Traz reached her, when his shadow completely covered her small form, Jiwoo finally moved, and the entire arena fell silent. One moment she was there, directly in Traz's path. The next moment she wasn't. She had shifted so quickly that many eyes couldn't follow the movement. She appeared behind Traz, standing calmly as he stumbled forward, grabbing at empty air. Traz roared and spun around. He swung a heavy fist toward Jiwoo's head. The blow would have knocked out most fighters instantly. But it never landed. Jiwoo caught his arm at precisely the right point. Using his own momentum, she redirected the force of his attack. The much larger Venusian found himself flipping through the air. He crashed onto his back with a boom that echoed through the arena. What just happened? Someone gasped. Traz got up quickly, his stone-like face showing surprise and anger. He attacked again, this time with more caution. He tried a series of punches and grabs designed to trap the smaller opponent. Jiwoo moved like water between his attacks. Each movement was precise, efficient, and perfectly timed. She wasn't just avoiding his blows, she was controlling the entire fight. In the officials section, Instructor Sunho stood up for a better view. General Kadu remained seated, a small smile on his scared face. "That's impossible," Junho whispered from the competitors' area. "No human moves like that." After letting Traz tire himself with attacks that never landed, Jiwoo finally counterattacked. She struck 3 points on his body in quick succession, places where even a Venusian's tough skin had vulnerable nerve clusters. Traz froze, then dropped to his knees. His right arm hung useless at his side. His left leg wouldn't respond to his commands. The referee moved closer, clearly shocked by what was happening. Jiwoo stood calmly in front of her opponent. She waited until Traz looked up at her. Then she spoke loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Do you submit?" Traz, unable to continue fighting but unwilling to surrender, tried one last desperate lunge. Jiwoo sidestepped and applied gentle pressure to a specific point on his neck. The massive fighter collapsed completely, conscious but unable to move. The winner by opponent's incapacitation. Han Jiwoo of Earth. For several seconds, no one made a sound. Then a single person began to clap. Others joined slowly until the arena filled with applause mixed with confused murmurs. Medical staff rushed to help Traz, who was already beginning to regain movement in his limbs. Jiwoo had been careful not to cause any permanent damage. "That was not beginner's luck," one of the judges said to another. "Those were military-grade combat techniques." As Jiwoo walked back to the waiting area, students moved out of her way. Some looked afraid. Others looked curious. No one was laughing now. "That was incredible," Damie said when she and Jihoon reached Jiwoo. "How did you learn to fight like that?" Another competitor asked from nearby. "Earth's Special Tactical Division," Jiwoo answered simply. She no longer needed to hide the truth. Word spread quickly through the arena. Screens displayed the schedule for the next rounds. Jiwoo was set to fight again in 2 hours. As she waited, a group of official-looking people approached her. Among them was General Kadu. "Ms. Han," he said formally, "I have suspected for some time that you were more than you appeared." "General," she replied with equal formality. "The Alliance Military Council would like a word with you after the tournament." Jiwoo nodded. This was expected, part of the mission. Across the room, Junho pushed through the crowd until he reached her. His face showed a mix of emotions, disbelief, respect, and something like anger. "You've been pretending all this time," he said, "making fools of us." "That wasn't my intention," Jiwoo replied calmly. "Why?" he demanded. "Why fake being weak?" "Orders," she said, and perhaps to see how you treat those you believe are weaker than you. Junho had no answer for that. He stared at her for a long moment, then walked away. Throughout the day, Juwoo won match after match. Each victory was quick and efficient. She never used more force than necessary. She never showed off. She simply demonstrated what a highly trained human was capable of. Spectators who had come to watch other species now stayed to see the human girl fight. Some made recordings to send home. Important visitors from many worlds whispered together, looking troubled by this new information about human capabilities. By the end of the day, only 2 fighters remained undefeated, Juwoo and Junho. Tomorrow, they would face each other in the final match. As Juwoo left the arena that evening, she knew that things had changed forever. The shy girl was gone. In her place stood a representative of Earth, ready to show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. News traveled fast through the galaxy's communication networks. By morning, the Academy arena was filled beyond capacity. Important officials from many worlds had arrived overnight to witness the final match. "It's more than just a tournament now," Jihoon told Juwoo as they walked toward the arena. "It's become a political event." Juwoo nodded. She had received 3 messages from Earth Command during the night. Her demonstration had created exactly the effect her superiors wanted. Now for the final match, she had new instructions. "Show your full capabilities, but with restraint. This is a demonstration, not a humiliation." In the preparation room, Juwoo stretched carefully. Her body felt good. She had not needed to use her full abilities in any match so far. Across the room, Junho was surrounded by Torian officials. They spoke to him intensely, their voices too low for Juwoo to hear. Junho's face looked serious, focused. He was no longer the arrogant student who had mocked her. Today, he represented his entire species. "All competitors for the final match, please report to the arena," the announcer called. The crowd roared as Juwoo and Junho walked to the center of the fighting area. Above them, large screens showed close-ups of their faces. Juwoo looked calm. Junho looked determined. "This match will determine the champion of the 43rd Interspecies Combat Tournament," the announcer said. From Taurus, Park Junho, undefeated champion for 2 years. The Taurians in the crowd cheered loudly. From Earth, Han Juwoo, the tournament's surprise competitor. Many species applauded. Some even chanted Earth, which had never happened before at the Academy. Instructor Sunho stepped forward to give the final instructions. "This match has no time limit," he said. "Victory by submission, incapacitation, or ring out only. Begin when ready." He stepped back. Juwoo and Junho faced each other in fighting stances. "No more pretending," Junho said quietly. "Show me what humans can really do." Juwoo nodded. "Show me what Taurians can really do." They began to circle each other. Unlike Juwoo's previous opponents, Junho did not rush in. He had watched all her matches. He knew better. Juwoo struck first, testing his defenses with a quick series of strikes. Junho blocked them well, his thick arms absorbing the impacts. He countered with a powerful kick that Juwoo easily avoided. For several minutes, they exchanged attacks and defenses, each taking the measure of the other. The crowd watched in silent appreciation of their skill. Then, as if by some unspoken agreement, both fighters increased their speed and power. Junho unleashed the full strength that Taurians were famous for. His strikes could crack stone. His movements shook the floor of the arena. Juwoo matched him with the precision and adaptability that humans excelled at. Where Junho was power, she was technique. Where he was endurance, she was efficiency. In the stands, military officials from many worlds took notes. This fight was showing them something new about both species. 20 minutes passed. Both fighters were breathing hard now. Junho had managed to land a solid hit on Juwoo's shoulder, making that arm slightly slower. Juwoo had struck several pressure points on Junho's body, reducing his strength in those areas. "You're better than I expected," Junho admitted during a brief pause as they circled again. "So are you," Juwoo replied honestly. Junho smiled, and for a moment, Juwoo saw the person he might become, not the bully he had been, but a strong, worthy opponent. Then he attacked with renewed energy. He drove Juwoo back toward the edge of the fighting area with a series of powerful combinations. If she stepped out of bounds, he would win. The crowd rose to their feet, sensing the match might end soon. Juwoo waited until the last possible moment, until her heel was almost at the boundary line. Then she did something no one at the academy had seen before. As Junho threw his strongest punch yet, Juwoo seemed to flow around it like water. She moved inside his defenses and executed a complex maneuver that used his own momentum and weight against him. For a moment, the massive Taurian was lifted completely off his feet. Then he crashed to the mat with tremendous force. The arena went silent. Junho lay still for a moment, stunned by the impact. Then he tried to rise but couldn't. Juwoo had precisely targeted nerves and pressure points that temporarily paralyzed his major muscle groups. She stood over him, not with arrogance but with respect. "Do you submit?" she asked quietly. Junho looked up at her. Anger, respect, and finally, acceptance crossed his face. "I submit," he said clearly. The crowd erupted in cheers and shouts. The announcer declared Juwoo the champion, but few heard over the noise. As feeling returned to his limbs, Junho slowly stood up. He looked at Juwoo for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he extended his hand to her in the human gesture of sportsmanship. Juwoo took it. The crowd cheered even louder. "I underestimated you," Junho said. "I underestimated all humans." "Many do," Juwoo replied. "That's why I'm here." 20 minutes passed. Both fighters were breathing hard now. Junho had managed to land a solid hit on Juwoo's shoulder, making that arm slightly slower. Juwoo had struck several pressure points on Junho's body, reducing his strength in those areas. "You're better than I expected," Junho admitted during a brief pause as they circled again. "So are you," Juwoo replied honestly. Junho smiled, and for a moment, Juwoo saw the person he might become, not the bully he had been, but a strong, worthy opponent. Then he attacked with renewed energy. He drove Juwoo back toward the edge of the fighting area with a series of powerful combinations. If she stepped out of bounds, he would win. The crowd rose to their feet, sensing the match might end soon. Juwoo waited until the last possible moment, until her heel was almost at the boundary line. Then she did something no one at the academy had seen before. As Junho threw his strongest punch yet, Juwoo seemed to flow around it like water. She moved inside his defenses and executed a complex maneuver that used his own momentum and weight against him. For a moment, the massive Taurian was lifted completely off his feet. Then he crashed to the mat with tremendous force. The arena went silent. Junho lay still for a moment, stunned by the impact. Then he tried to rise but couldn't. Juwoo had precisely targeted nerves and pressure points that temporarily paralyzed his major muscle groups. She stood over him, not with arrogance but with respect. "Do you submit?" she asked quietly. Junho looked up at her. Anger, respect, and finally, acceptance crossed his face. "I submit," he said clearly. The crowd erupted in cheers and shouts. The announcer declared Juwoo the champion, but few heard over the noise. As feeling returned to his limbs, Junho slowly stood up. He looked at Juwoo for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he extended his hand to her in the human gesture of sportsmanship. Juwoo took it. The crowd cheered even louder. "I underestimated you," Junho said. "I underestimated all humans." "Many do," Juwoo replied. "That's why I'm here." 1 week after the tournament, the Galactic Academy felt like a different place. Students still hurried to classes and gathered in the dining hall, but something had changed in how they interacted with the human students. Juwoo walked through the halls, no longer hunched or looking at the floor. She moved with the natural grace of someone comfortable in their own body. Other students nodded to her with respect. Some even stepped aside to let her pass. "Still feels strange," she told Damie as they sat down for lunch. "Not having to pretend anymore." "Good strange or bad strange?" Damie asked. "Just different," Ju said. "I've been playing a role for so long." Ji-hoon joined them with his tray. "Have you seen the news? Your match is still the top story on the Galactic Network. They're calling it the revelation at Sector 7. Ju smiled slightly. Earth Command had been pleased with the results. Her demonstration, along with similar ones by other human operatives across the galaxy, had changed perceptions almost overnight. "There she is," a voice said. Junho approached their table. Since the tournament, he had been different, more thoughtful, less arrogant. He still commanded respect among the Torian students, but he had stopped mocking others. "May I join you?" he asked. Damie looked surprised but nodded. Junho sat down next to his sister. "I wanted to tell you," he said to Ju. "I've been selected for the Joint Species Combat Training Program." "That's impressive," Ju said. "Only the top students get chosen." "You've been selected too," Junho told her. "Along with representatives from 5 other species. We'll be training together next year." Before Ju could respond, her computer pad beeped with an incoming message. It was from the Academy director, requesting her presence at the main hall immediately. When Ju arrived at the main hall, she found it filled with students and teachers. At the front stood the Academy director, General Kadu, and several officials in formal uniforms. "Han Ju," the director called. "Please come forward." As Ju walked through the crowd, she saw Damie, Ji-hoon, and even Junho had followed her, and now stood near the back. "The Alliance Military Council has reviewed the events of the recent tournament," the director announced. "In light of the skills demonstrated by Cadet Han, they have made a decision." General Kadu stepped forward. "Earth joined the Galactic Alliance as our newest member 5 years ago. During that time, many questioned what humans could contribute to our collective security and advancement. The hall was completely silent as everyone listened. Those questions have been answered," the general continued. "The Council has voted unanimously to establish a new interspecies combat training division, with instructors from all member worlds, including Earth." He turned to Ju. "Cadet Han, your performance demonstrated not only technical skill but restraint and respect for your opponents. The Council would like to offer you a position as Earth's first combat instructor at the Academy after your graduation." Whispers spread through the hall. This was unprecedented for a first-year student of any species. "I would be honored," Ju said clearly. The director raised his hand for quiet. "Additionally, the Council has requested that Cadet Han address the Academy on this historic occasion." Ju hadn't prepared a speech, but as she looked out at the faces watching her, faces of beings from 100 different worlds, she knew what she needed to say. "Throughout my time here," she began, "many of you laughed at the shy human girl who seemed too weak to defend herself." The hall grew even quieter. "I don't blame you," Ju continued. "We all make judgments based on what we see, but appearances can be misleading." She looked directly at the students who had mocked her the most. They looked away, embarrassed. "Every species in the Alliance has unique strengths. Taurians have power. Centaurians have speed. Quali have precision. Humans have adaptability and determination." She paused, looking around the hall. "The lesson isn't that humans are stronger than you thought. The lesson is that we should never judge others by appearances or assumptions. The quietest person in the room might surprise you the most." In the back of the hall, Damie smiled proudly. Beside her, Ji-hoon nodded in agreement, and Junho, who had once led the laughter against the shy girl, stood straight and attentive, listening to every word. Later that evening, Ju sent a final report to Earth Command. Mission complete. Perceptions changed. Position secured. As she looked out the window at the stars, Ju thought about her journey. She had come to the Academy with orders to hide her abilities, to observe and report. She had endured mockery and dismissal, but in the end, she had earned something more valuable than victory in a tournament. She had earned respect, not just for herself, but for all humans. And no one at the Galactic Academy would ever laugh at a shy girl again without wondering what strength might lie beneath the quiet surface.